I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Livestock and Grain Market News, here with your feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending March the 30th, where we had feeder and stocker cattle, most general weights, especially between 400 and 800 pounds, selling steady to $4 higher. We did have exceptions there on big yearling steers in the direct areas and in the major auction markets. Those big heavy steers weighing over 8.5 into the 9s especially, those kinds selling steady to $3 lower. Not a lot of time to back those things up. And the lighter stocker cattle and calves, the little peewee calves and the stocker cattle condition there within the major grazing area regions there, right through the central part of the U.S. where they had the good rains last week in Oklahoma and Kansas and bordering areas there. Those little turnout calves were $4 to $8 higher, and spots as much as $12 higher, mostly on the heifers as guys try to cheapen up. So they're digging into the heifers again like they did a month or two ago. But that rain we had there all through the central parts of the U.S. was a big shot in the arm for a lot of these guys that are going to turn out on grass. It's just amazing what some rain can do practically overnight. You know, even in the Texas Panhandle where they've been so dry, had some light rains there, and that wheat just absolutely turns green in just a matter of hours there. And now guys are wondering whether they want to graze some of that out where they thought they didn't have anything there at all. Now they have something they might want to graze out. Probably most of them won't make a crop out of it, but more likely will make a lot of wheat hay because they're still short on their hay stockpiles there. But anyway, the big rains they had there week before this past really helped the market on everything, and it brought bigger runs back in after we got all that wet deal, and the feeder cattle sold good as everybody was in a pretty good mood. Now that was early in the week. Now starting on Wednesday afternoon on, we had 3 straight sessions of sharply lower cattle futures there, and that has hurt, and then we don't have a whole lot of major late sales, so we're sure going to see that next week. But what we're really going to see is the after effects of this USDA crop reports, which had the prospective plantings, which should have been bearish for corn, as the prospective plantings are 95.9 million acres. Remember, just a few weeks ago we were talking about guys planting about 94 million acres. Well, now they've raised it up to where they think they're going to plant 95.9 million acres. That's 1.9 million more than the last estimate, 1.2 million more than most of the analysts had guessed this report would be, and the most planted acres, if they end up doing that we've had since 1937. So you would have thought that would have been hugely bearish for the corn market. Then that report come out Friday morning. Corn May contracts end up the limit, the 40-cent limit on Friday, even though we had that report. But it seemed like all the traders in the Chicago there, they looked more at the quarterly stocks report. The ending stockpiles there for the quarter were down 8% compared to the same time last year, which is just a pinch over 6 billion bushels, and they thought that was more bullish for nearby corn especially than the prospective plantings was bearish. So a little hard to figure. Definitely going to see that on this coming week's feeder cattle trade. But still some good prices out there in West Plains, Missouri at the Ozarks Regional Stockyards, which you can nearly throw a rock to Arkansas from there. We're not talking about western Missouri or northern Missouri, where it's more, you know, closer to the Nebraska feedlot areas and things. We're talking about south central Missouri, down there in West Plains, but they have a big market there, top 10 auction market as far as receipts go. This week they had 121 head of 604-pound steers, all black-hided. Maybe not the fanciest things in the world, but empty. Called them Gant there. Market reporter there, Dave Smith, sure knows what he's talking about. Gant way up on those cattle, weighing 604, black steers at 187. Now they also at the same sale had 2 loads of red Angus steers weighed 806, 152.75. Now that's better than they're getting in parts of the sand hills in Nebraska at times there, where all they've got to do is basically drive them across the road to a major feedlot. These cattle are $3 to $4 a hundred from a major feedlot. Those cattle weighing 806 at 152.75. That's an awfully good price there. But fat cattle market this week was mostly a buck lower. 125 in the southern plains of Texas and Kansas, mostly 202 dressed in the northern plains, which was also weaker there. But we had a lot of, just down things going on in the packer market there. In the beef market, cutouts was lower. Everything kind of turned bearish there, and everybody's on a downer right now. Mostly attributed to this big media frenzy that they have over the lean, finely textured beef, which is basically a filler and additive to most ground beef mixtures there. And this still's really got a bad rap. I'm not going to advertise the catchphrase that they've given to it, but the bad thing is for everybody, including the consumer, is the main thing that LFTB did was helped ensure the safety of the product, because it includes some ammonia products in there, and when it's mixed in with that other to raise the leanness, mostly because a lot of the lean trim that you get has a whole lot more fat in it than most people want, and so they want a leaner product. This helps raise the leanness, but it also improves the safety of that. A chance of E. coli breaking out in that ground beef is almost non-existent with that additive in there. So they've got to get that straightened out. It's really taking a toll on the beef industry here, and it doesn't have a whole lot of merit at all. So regional weighted averages this week in feeder cattle in the north central states this week: 155.81 for a 7 to 800 pound steer. Last week 156.30. A year ago 137.58. In the south central states, a 6 to 700 pound steer cost you 168.06 compared to 167.16 last week and 142.77 a year ago. And down the southeast, 5 to 600 pound steer cost you 174.84 compared to 172.43 last week and 143.80 a year ago. That wraps up your market summary for this week. Check out our website at marketnews.usda.gov. And from the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.